Well, here's one, Scott. What steps have to be taken to create destination locations for food businesses in existing stable communities? Okay, let's go through that one more time. What steps have to be taken to create destination food locations for businesses in existing stable communities? Wow, that's a very good question.
I want to be downtown. That's
okay.
crowded for my taste, and it really doesn't lend itself to what I do. On the catering side, you know, we've grown that business, struggled the first year, happy with that. Now I'm looking at the next step of putting a specific type of food business in the community which I live, which is Rosedale.
Okay.
So there's McDonald's, there's all kinds of fast food there. We used to have really, really good sit-down restaurants. We lost Vicky's when she got a divorce. We lost an Italian restaurant when the kids didn't want to take it over. You know, we used to have some really good sit-down restaurants, places where you could walk up the street from your house, get a glass of wine, have a great salad, and walk back home. We don't have that now, and I'm wondering what steps do, because there are a few of us in the room who live there, who would like to reverse the trend of fast food. I'm on the committee for craft foods about how to improve their food to make it healthier. You know, at present, I don't even buy that. So that's not what I want to eat. This is all you will ever see me buy from McDonald's, is their coffee. It's exquisite. Okay, so you'll never see me walk out of there with anything else, from the French fries to the burger. I like my fries fried in duck fat. Okay. So
okay, foodie. Okay. Well, that's actually a very difficult question. Number one, and I believe some of the lenders, CDFIs, bankers would agree that restaurants are a very risky venture. And so it's very, very difficult to get financing for a restaurant, particularly your first location, if you don't have a long and successful track record of being in that industry and actually having a restaurant that you've been able to build from the ground up to a successful venture. That being said, you're going to have to go to what I believe some of the state lenders. Well, let me finish that one. I'm going to get there. That you're going to have to find, well, it's going to have to be about money because you got to start that business up. And you're not going to be able to go to the banks. Okay, well, great. Easier for you. But for those who don't, if you want to start that, that business, say that again? It's location. But to get to the location, you're still going to have money to start that business. You've got to go to your friends, family, and fools if you want to do that. And then the banks and the other CDFIs may jump on afterwards. But as creating your own location, I can look at 1917 American Bistro as one who has created a very viable and now a thriving restaurant in the neighborhood, in the Fashion Mile, just north of 7 Mile on Livernois. Now, you have a certain level of income in that neighborhood and a certain level of traffic that's generated there and density. So you have to look at the other factors as well. And if you were to come talk to me and say, Scott, what do we do? I want to locate a business here. I'm going to call Pat and say, Pat, I need some demographic data. I need some information on sales. How large do I need to be successful? So I'm going to go to some of my other technical assistance advisors to actually look, is this a viable location? What's going on in Grand Mount Rosedale? And I know a little bit about the area, but I'm an East Sider and I'm a Midtowner, so I specialize in that area. But we can look at some of the other things that go behind making you a successful location. And then if you even go deeper and look at other cities, look at how Washington, D.C. did it. I mean, if you look now, you will see viable neighborhood restaurants in neighborhoods 10, 15 years ago would not have been considered viable. But it's also about the density of the area, the amount of income in that area, and people's willingness to go into that area and eat. Is there a comfort level from the residents? On 7 Mile and Livernois, there's a certain level of comfort. People are willing to walk and go to those restaurants. Now, is there that same comfort level in Grand Mount Rosedale? I don't know.
Those people are not willing to go to 7 Mile Livernois. Well, 7 Mile. Well, those go to 7 Mile Livernois, but they won't go to that area 7 Mile from, what shall we call it, Schaefer to Evergreen, because those are not kind of sit-down eating. They'll go to 1917, but their whole thing is, why should I have to leave my neighborhood and go to 1917?
You're absolutely right.
My neighborhood is just, you know, I mean, it mirrors that community. But what we need to know is what steps do we need to take. I think there's several of us in this room feel the same way. I
gave you two. I gave you two. Get your demographics and find out, are people going to be willing to do that? We got some people want to chime in here. Yes, ma'am.
There's
Well,
You know what?
Just give us a permit,
Okay.
inspect the restaurant, and then get the hell about the way.
you know, I'm gonna leave this. Oh, you know what? Interesting dialogue, but I'm gonna leave this one back to location theory and location analysis. You want to?
Yeah. Actually, 1970, good friend of mine. I know him very well.
Chef Don?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But back to your question, I own a building over there. I grew up in that neighborhood. My parents still live over there. I think that's a good neighborhood for what you want to do.
Absolutely.
But the building I own, at one time, it was a restaurant / bar.
Okay.
So I'm gonna talk to you afterwards,
Okay.
and you might be in luck.
And you know what? One of the best things about these type of panels is the dialogue that you have between your audience and the panelists or other audience members, because they may have your solution right there. But I'd also talk to Pat and get some demographic data and start talking about the revenue should be generated from the building, the size that you have for a small sit-down restaurant. Did we answer your question? At least a little bit?
Somewhat.
Okay, we got a little bit of it. I'll also be around afterwards. Anybody else on that subject? All right. Kelly, how were you able to determine what your startup food inventory should be in terms of how much to order?
Is that based on opening a restaurant or catering? Whoever asked me that question.
Let's go with both.
All right. When I first started catering, first party I got a deposit up front. Didn't have any money, got a deposit up front, took that money to buy my food and my shaping dishes. And from there on, I managed my money right. Like I say, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Tammy. You probably would never pay yourself a paycheck when you first start out. It's going to have to grow. You're going to have to always buy something you're going to want to enhance your business. But when I first started, and still now with my catering, I get all of my money up front. So if that helped answer the question. And then when I actually opened a restaurant, I spent $6,000 just in food to stock my restaurant. And that one was the very basic, just so I wouldn't run out each day. And each week I still had to replenish or spend another $1,000 or $2,000. But I grew to that, because when I first started, I didn't have a dime, I didn't have $5. So.
I'd like to add to that. Your inventory really is dependent on the size space that you have, as well as the menu that you're serving, because you really want to serve food fresh, and you don't want. I mean, we get deliveries 5 days a week, but we also don't have capacity to take a 1 day a week delivery. So you have to look at the space that you can hold it in, and you really want to turn your inventory as quickly as possible, and that's how you're going to make your money. And so you're going to put some money out, you're going to bring some money in and pay off that inventory, and you're going to keep doing it. That's really what it's about in the food service business. We don't sit on inventory. Our average inventory is 5 days. And I did a case study with the Walmart, and Walmart's average inventory is like less than 30 days. They're always turning over. So in our type of business, it's fast. Other businesses hold on to inventory a lot longer. So really, if you can meet the truck minimum order, most of your vendors that come to you have a minimum order, roughly around $300. If you can meet that minimum and they're in your area 4 or 5 days a week, then take advantage of it.
Excellent. Anything else on inventory?
And like she said, with food, it's food. You have to turn it fast. If you don't, it's going to go bad. You're going to lose. So you have to try to move. Unless you have a frozen product, but like you said, you prefer to sell it fresh.